Welcome to the School of Love. I'm the author of Men Need Love Too, a simple guide to making men magnetic so every woman is satisfied and fulfilled. I'm Marina Lazaris, the expert in helping you keep the love, get the passion dialed up, and connecting you deeper than you've ever been before. Hello, Joe. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
So, who are you?
Who am I? My name's Joe Finfera. I'm a father.
Yeah.
I'm an actor, and I'm also into marketing. So I'm a man of do many things. And I've lived in Los Angeles now for 24 years now. And I love it here. Absolutely love it.
Oh, and what would you say your passion is and your purpose is?
My passion, I would say my biggest passion is just being a father. My other passion is being a performer, making things that are on paper come to life, and making someone's vision come to life. And another passion I have is archaeology. I love studying where people once were or where they once have been. I love collecting things where someone once owned, and I have my house is almost like a miniature museum. I love just owning something that someone else once owned a long time ago. I feel like I'm part of history. If I can own a piece of history, I feel like I'm a part of it. So those are my passions. Very strong passions, by the way.
I know, I can tell. It's very beautiful. And obviously this is the School of Love. And, you know, one thing that hit me as you talked is you said only being a father. And, you know, that is probably the most significant, most important role that we play. And how has that been it's such a high value I hear around family, and tell me more about that.
I remember when I was in high school, when I was running track, I ran long distance. And so in high school, back in the early 80s, I remember visualizing my children. I saw them. I actually saw them. And it's crazy. And then I see them now, and I talk to them now. I'm like, wow, I saw you.
Wow.
I visualized you. And they're there now. And now they're young adults, and it's just amazing. And my job, and I love being a father. I love that role. My father was a great father, and he's very good to me. It was an inspiration. He was such a fair man. I thought he was one of the best men I've ever known. And if I could just be an ounce of what my father was, then I would be doing something great as well. But I love being a father to my children. And as they're young adults now, I feel like it's my duty to guide them along, to help them become young adults and help them be happy, and just kind of pass it along.
So the father archetype is so strong in you. And we met at a screening, right? And it was all about this father archetype and how it can, it's kind of become redundant in society.
Well, what is crazy is we went to the screening of Shooting Stars.
Yeah.
And ironically, the director of that movie and another friend, we went to high school together. So where I had that visualization, anyway, that's where it all kind of came. But I have mutual friends out here that I really haven't seen. And every once in a while you have the ability to meet up with them. But I went to the screening, and I still have my friends from high school that I meet up with. But yeah, that's where we met.
So that's just so important, because that whole thing was talking about the importance of men coming together, men supporting one another, and also the male figure being in young men's lives and having this father-like figure, whether or not they're your children or someone else's children, the impact that has on young men.
Correct. I mean, the father figure does have a big impact. And then the people, of course, you grew up with, and then hearing your friends, and they talk about how the influence that their father had on their lives and how important it is. And then, of course, obviously, when you watch television and you see fathers that aren't present and aren't doing a good job, it's quite upsetting, because it makes other people look bad. But we have a responsibility, whether you are a biological father or not, to be an example and to help others. And I think that's our duty. And if you've been fortunate, I feel like I've been fortunate in my life. So I'm at a point now where I want to help and give back. And I think there's a beauty in that, in giving back in some form, whether it's to the youth or whether it's to your own children. But we're all fathers and mothers in a way. And I think it's important for us to help others and give back to the next generation.
So if you could give the next generation any advice on being a father, what would it be?
To be present, to use examples, to be real, explain your weaknesses because we all have them, and what you do to overcome them. Give them opportunities when you see something that could be an opportunity. When I tell, not just being a mental inspiration, but in life, I think sometimes opportunities come, and if you don't grab them right away, you could miss out. So I find myself, on the opportunities I know I've grabbed them pretty quickly. And I look back and I think, wow, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have the things I have now. And so I feel like I always feel compelled to tell the youth, hey, if there's an opportunity, don't wait too long. It's not going to be there forever. There's a door, and that door can close. So if you have a chance to grab it, grab it. That's what I like to tell the youth. If you see an opportunity, it may not be there forever. Go and grab it.
I love that. The universe needs action is one of my favourite quotes of all time. And you're playing into that. But one thing we were discussing was preparation and how you've become a master at preparation.
Well, preparation for everything, whether it's, when you have to go anywhere in life, or if you have an appointment, or you're working on a film, or whatever it is, if you're not prepared, it's showing up. I mean, certain things, yes, you can just show up, but really life is about being prepared for it, being ready. And then if you're not prepared, you're going to miss out on opportunity, and you're not going to be your best. You can make yourself shine by being prepared.
I think it's beautiful because you talked about preparation, making sure you get somewhere early, and that gives you an inner peace. It gives you
absolutely.
an inner, calmness.
Well, knowing, for me, as I get older, you learn about yourself. You learn what your weaknesses are. And are they really, we all have, I don't like to call it a weakness, but I just learn to understand who I am as a person. And I learn what things make me uncomfortable. And so what can I do so I can make that not happen? And it's either, if I have to be someplace, show up early, because if I'm rushing, I get frazzled. I know my personality.
Yeah.
And so I do things like that, or making sure I eat different times so my sugar level doesn't get low, or if I'm working on filming one day, I watch what I eat. I always watch my carbs. But if I'm filming, I know I have a lot of dialogue. I'll maybe have a little bit more carbs because I know I need that brain energy. So that preparation.
Beautiful. It's like tuning into yourself and self-caring. So you've mastered looking after and loving yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you do have to love yourself. Because if you don't, I think it's hard to love others if you don't love yourself. So when you feel a sense of calmness towards yourself, when you have a sense of love for yourself, I think you can help others. Like, when you're on a plane, they always say that, if you're on the plane and you need to give oxygen to somebody, give it to yourself first, because if you're passed out, you can't help anybody else. So I think in real life, if you're not feeling good yourself, if you don't feel like you're in a good place, how can you help anybody else? So it's okay with helping yourself first and then helping others. And, I think I have spent a lot of time helping myself.
I love it.
And in my life now, as I go forward, if I see people that are going through something or struggle, I feel compelled to help. I feel like I've been given a gift in so many ways. So I have empathy towards others. I don't have a sympathy, I have an empathy. And I understand, and I feel compelled to help. I think that's almost my duty.
Beautiful. The difference between sympathy and empathy.
I found that I had this poem. There was a young lady years ago. I found this poem that somebody wrote, and she was handicapped, and she wrote a poem about empathy. And empathy is a world of just understanding, and sympathy is feeling sorry for somebody. I don't think we should feel sorry for anybody. I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me. I just want them to understand. I think we just need to understand each other. And when you have an understanding for each other, if you seek first to understand, then you can help and you can relate more. And you can also, sympathy is debilitating. You're accepting, and empathy is giving strength to, and it's helping. It's true helping. Empathy is helping because you can say, I understand this. And you're not giving something so much energy that you're debilitating them. So a world of empathy is what we should all have, because no one wants anybody to feel sorry for them. They just want you to understand what they're going through, so you can help them walk and take that next step. You know, I in life, I've seen people that are going through divorce and things like that, where they have children, and you know, like with my children, I see people are going through this torment. And because I've been through things, I don't feel sorry for them. I understand. I understand what they're going through. So I always feel compelled to just want to put my 2 cents in and help them feel better.
It's very much clarity and power and wisdom when you speak. And that resonance is very true. People want to have their power back. And you're a vehicle for that, right? Empowering them with understanding. And if all relationships had more understanding, then they would last a lot longer.
That, or I just think that divorce plagues our country. It's so rampant, and something has to give in our society when it comes to relationships and when there's children involved.
Yeah.
And what can we do to make that better or make a transition better? I don't have the answer with, I would say, a relationship, but I think I have more of an answer when it comes to just things I've experienced, but when it comes to maybe co-parenting or finding a love for that other person. And maybe I'm getting clarity as I get older, but it's crazy. It takes a long time to figure things out. And then you just have a better understanding. And I think the biggest clarity I have is that, you know, trying to rush through anything will never get you anywhere. I think too many people want to have conflict resolution immediately, and you can't. And one thing I try to tell people I know are going through a divorce or they're having problems, I'm like, you have to accept that conflict resolution will not be immediate. It won't be. When you can relinquish that, then you can be a little bit freer. And because too many people want things to be resolved immediately, want things fast. Our society is fast. Everything's fast-paced. We get information fast. We want to believe things fast. But you know what? Sometimes we got to slow down and accept that resolution isn't always immediate. And when you have that, you can sink into that, and then a way will come to us, because I think the universe is working for us. And when you try to fight an outcome, you're resisting the universe. You're not letting the universe do its job. And I think we need to do that. And when you can release and let that go and allow conflict resolution to come on its own, you're going to get the sorries. You're going to get the understanding. You're going to get the empathy. You're going to get the true resolution that both parties are looking for.
It's very powerful, because what often happens is there is that power struggle, right? And people want it done now. And they think, because we're both divorced, right?
Yeah.
So we both share that in common. So what I see when I also work with people is people want that outcome. They want that piece of paper with the divorce. But like anything, when you get the piece of paper, it's just a piece of paper and nothing changes, right? So as you're saying, forcing something and pushing on something creates more conflict.
Absolutely. And when you get divorced, your relationship with that person doesn't end. And when you have children, your relationship with that person doesn't end. There's still a relationship there. You're just not having a physical relationship or a relationship with that person, but you are still having a relationship. So I think it's important that, because we have so many children in America or in the world, that we have to find a way to get along, all of us. And love is, to me, I found love is the answer. And whenever I have friends or I know people that are going through a divorce, I always say you have to find a way to love your ex. You have to find a way to love them, and not as a relationship, but as a human being. And because it's counterproductive to not like or hate someone that your children love. How horrible is that? You love your children, but yet you hate their mother or their father. And I think we have to have a love for each other. Just because a relationship didn't work out doesn't mean you still can't love that person. And you can't get rid of that. And that's how I know conflict resolution works out. That's how co-parenting can exist, is having a love for that other person and understanding them and accepting them for who they are. Now, as far as keeping a relationship going, that's a whole other topic. But to me, the importance of our children that are left in a broken home, a non-nuclear family. But if you can have two people that have children and they can find a way to get along and still love each other and know they're not going to be together, but how can you raise these kids in this environment? You can still do it, and you can still do it in a loving way.
I love that, because what you're saying is love means that you don't come from a broken home. You can have two parents, like I did when I grew up, that hated one another and lived together, and that was more damaging for me when I grew up.
Absolutely.
So love is, if you're going to stay with someone, step into love and gratitude. And if you're going to move away from someone, for stepping into pure love and making it not about you, find a way to love them, because that's going to help your children not have a broken home. As you said, when you describe what you're describing, there's no brokenness. You've come to self-acceptance, you have self-respect, but you have integrity and honor. And by doing so, you've honored your ex-partner and you found a way to love and forgive her and forgive yourself. So there's completion, so there's no brokenness.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily even have to be a forgiving, because it's just an understanding. I think two people may, they found each other, and maybe there's a purpose for them to be together then. And it may be, it just didn't work out anymore. And you just have to understand that's who they are, that's who you are. But you've created something. And whether you have or not, an ending of a relationship isn't always the ending. You can still have a friendship from it. You can grow from it and learn from it. And if you can I think we have to use all these experiences to all of our benefits.
Well, that's a perspective shift most people need.
Yes.
That exact one, that there is no ending. And people think, I've invested my time, I've wasted my time, and they get bitter and resentful because they think there's an ending. Well, ultimately, if we go into this, like us living and dying is all happening at once, you being madly in love with that person is still happening.
Right.
And so if you can tap into that and honor that and give that love, yes, that might hurt. Yes, you might grieve. But by releasing all them feelings and emotions, you keep your heart open. Correct.
Now, I think, we were talking earlier, but I just feel that as humans, we're programmed.
Yeah.
And we're programmed, and we almost become I hate to use the word addiction, but there is this connection when you find somebody that you're really in love with, that you have this addiction. And when you do split up, there is a withdrawal. It's a very difficult process. And I think you have to give yourself that time to grieve and not necessarily react. And I think that in that moment is where a lot of problems happen. And so if you can allow yourself to step away, internalize, kind of get over things, and then you can reevaluate and communicate at that time. Because you almost have to get over an addiction if you're in a relationship that was strong. And then you can figure out how you can manage to go forward in that relationship. Our brains do have an addictive personality.
I think what you're describing is like you're hormonally connected to someone.
Yes,
It's not only just, you're like hormonally connected to that person. They become your security, your sense of survival.
Everything.
You're bonded to them. So that separation period is also physical, spiritual, mental. And what you're saying is, Marina, you just need space. You need space, but also you need to understand that this is a whole process of like becoming someone else again, like refinding yourself.
Right.
Experiencing
Absolutely.
emotions, things that could have been, grieving a loss of some sort, because that person might change into a different person that you didn't know afterwards. And
Correct.
you're grieving like the person that you thought they was. And so giving yourself space to really be with yourself and be with what comes up with
Right.
people that love and understand you as
Right.
well.
And heal. I mean, but
Yeah.
our personalities, well, look at, we have a connection with cigarette. People have a connection to cigarettes. And when I actually used to smoke years ago, I think before my son was born. And you were talking about, I had a relationship with cigarettes where I woke up in the morning and that was what woke me up. When I was sad, I smoked a cigarette. When I was happy, I smoked a cigarette. When I was angry, I smoked a cigarette. When I was celebrating a victory, I smoked a cigarette. And I knew that this relationship with these cigarettes were bad. It wasn't a good relationship. And I knew this relationship was going to kill me. And when my son was born, my first son was born, I have two, a boy and a girl, but when my son was born 23 years ago, I knew I had to quit. So I quit when he was born. And I had to there was a time period you have to go through to get rid of this addiction. And I think just like anything, there's a time period you have to give yourself to move away from something that you're so connected to. Like you said, in relationships, that person, you call them when you're upset, you call them when you're sad, you call them when you're happy. Same thing with cigarettes, same different things. And when that connection ends, there's a period of time you have to go through of acceptance and maybe become internal, like healing time, healing from that addiction. And then once we get past that, then we can truly open up and communicate. And that's when we should, because in that interim period, I think things can go wrong and you can say things you don't really want to say or do things you don't really want to do or be who you're really not. But we have to know that time, there's a time period that exists to lose that addiction to the person or the thing.
And I suppose that time period is not fixated to an amount of time. It's this element.
You'll know when you're ready.
You'll know. And I think it's being intuitive around that. But I love it that your message is, look, take away the drama. And this is a time period for you. But it sounds like to me, very much what my method is loving it all, right? So when you love and accept the part of you that smoked, or when you love and accept all parts of you and then take responsibility rather than blaming and creating drama, because obviously we know what that's like with acting.
Right.
So then it's like, okay, how can I then have that love and acceptance for all parts that's played in this of me? And only with that love, then we then can move on.
Absolutely.
Because when we're still going, that person's this and that person's that role and this one's that, and pointing the finger and creating drama and whatever, how is there space for a new love? How is there space for anything new to be created? You're just you're dragging yourself under.
Absolutely.
But I love what you're saying around a relationship to everything. What people don't actually realise is everything's a relationship. So when you meet someone and they go, I don't want a relationship, you're like, well, you're actually having one with me right now. But what type of relationship do you think this is?
That's right.
So it's all a relationship, even with your cigarettes. And being consciously aware.
That was a great relationship.
But it's just interesting, Joe, because what you're saying to me is that, Marina, I'm bringing consciousness to this. This wasn't serving me. Someone else it could serve. I don't know. It's all a perspective. But this was not serving me because it was something that I was using and it was ended up using me.
When I am 92 years old, I do want to have another relationship with a cigarette. I was telling you that earlier. I miss my relationship with cigarettes. I really do. So I figure when I'm 92, I may consider having another relationship with a cigarette. American Spirit Menthol, if they still exist. I don't know if they will. I mean, they're probably doing well, but.
But again, it's your perspective, right? Because some people smoke until they're like 100, or I think really there's a lot around how you perceive something. If you perceive it to be good or bad, how it then transmutes into you. And
I knew it was bad. I knew it was bad.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like
I knew it was very bad.
But you did it. So how did you get over it?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
It was a very powerful thing. To me, our biggest struggles, no matter what in life, are with ourselves. It's never with anybody else. And so I knew I had to go into battle with myself to be able to quit smoking. I was like, okay, I'm going to get an armor and I'm going to get ready for battle, because the addiction of cigarettes is so powerful. It made me, I say the word empathetic. It helped me become empathetic to anybody who's addicted to alcohol, drugs. I never understood addiction. I started smoking late in life, and I had no empathy for anybody that had an addiction at all. I couldn't believe it. I was like, how? Just quit. But when you have situations yourselves and you've gone through something, you can understand and have more empathy towards others. But how did I do it? I did a combination of things. First of all, I got ready to battle myself, because I knew it was going to be a strong battle. 2, I had to know that I didn't always desire this. So I had to get to a mindset that I knew one day I'll be to not want or desire a cigarette. And I got to get to that point. And then 2 is I'm going to go through a period where I'm going to need it. And I just studied that I'm going to go through withdrawals. I'm going to be irritated. So there was something called Zyban at the time, because this is like 23 years ago. And it's really Wellbutrin, but the pharmaceuticals named it Zyban as well. And they use that as a pill to help you quit smoking. So I went on Wellbutrin, so it keeps you calm, because when you're smoking, and you need a fix, if you don't get that fix, it's going to be difficult. So I did Wellbutrin or Zyban. And then I tried to do this PAT stuff, and the PATs gave you like no control whatsoever. And then there was something called the gum. They had this gum, this Nicorette gum. And I would cut it into like halves or quarters. And that way I had control. So I felt like I needed a fix. I could just do the gum. And so I did, so it was the Zyban, the gum, and then one last thing. I was going through the channel on TV one day, and this speaker came on, and they were talking about, they said, "This too shall pass." And I thought, ooh, it was Joyce Myers. Joyce Myers just came on. She's like, "This too shall pass." She's such a powerful woman. And I thought, oh, that's powerful. I need that. That was meant for me to hear. And so I used a mantra, "This too shall pass." I used gum and Zyban. I wanted to give myself forever on the gum. I said, I'm going to allow myself to do the gum forever. I only want to be on Zyban for 30 days. I don't want to be on drugs forever. I don't want to do that, but I know I may need it. So I'm going to do it. And then I have the mantra that when I desire this cigarette and I'm fiending for this cigarette, that it won't last forever. This too shall pass. So that mantra was powerful.
Very powerful.
What and so those were the things because I was going into massive battle with myself. And I also knew that there was never a good time to quit anything. The time to do it is now. And I had an uncle coming out to stay with me, and he was a hardcore smoker. And I thought, oh boy, this is going to be difficult, but I have to do this because things are going to come up no matter what. There's going to be stressors that are going to come up. And then people then warn you. They're like, something's going to come up. It's going to make you want to smoke again. So I had to be ready for it. And I did. And my uncle came to see me because I had a newborn. And of course I had the big reason was I wanted to be around to see my grandchildren. And I wanted to have my energy back. And as a performer, I know when I used to smoke, I couldn't remember my lines.
Wow.
And it affected me. I knew it was killing brain cells. I could feel it. And so I knew that it was like, I have to get rid of this. This is the worst thing for me in every way. And so I did it, and I haven't had a cigarette. It's been 23 years. But I weaned myself off of the Zyban after 30 days. I always keep the mantra now. I still use that forever. This too shall pass. If there's a bad day or whatever it is, and then the gum, I was doing the gum up to 6 months afterwards. And then somebody said to me, "You're still doing that gum?" And I thought, yeah, I am, but maybe it's time to stop the gum. And I stopped the gum after 6 months. And then, so it took me 6 months to do the gum. So it was a tough battle. And I still try to help people do that, but you got to be ready for it, ready to go into a battle with yourself, because the biggest struggles we all have is never with your neighbor, your spouse, your parents. It's with you.
It's always
and how you deal with that situation.
I love that. It's always you v you. And yeah, what you're talking of is having a very strong mindset, claiming everything in the now, because nothing changes unless it changes in the now.
Yes.
And being able to visualize yourself in the future. So you in that future time with your grandchildren playing and being happy and healthy is what got you there. And
I can't wait. I can't wait till that moment comes.
But how beautiful is that? So yeah, battling yourself, loving yourself, respecting yourself. It feels like you have a lot of self-respect. And I think in today's society, a lot of men struggle with respect. They believe that relationships end because of lack of respect. How could you help men cultivate more self-respect?
That's a good question. Well, I think, first of all, we all have to want to do it ourselves. We have to figure out a way and stay positive, and figure out how we can be the best person we can be. I think all of us are given the gift of life. We're given these amazing, incredible bodies. All of us are, and the value we're worth. Our bodies, what we have is worth billions.
Yeah.
If you didn't have your eyes or your legs, what value would you put on all those? You'd put billions. And you have to have a self-respect for this gift we're given. So many people come to our country and because they haven't experienced freedom, and they don't know how valuable that freedom is. Well, there's freedom in there's value in freedom. There's valuable in this gift that we're given. Our bodies are so important, and we have to realize that we're given a gift and we have to treat it well, which means not overeating, not overindulging, not overdoing anything, and having a respect for the gift we're giving and trying to make it last and taking care of it.
So yeah, number one, respect for self, respect for body. I know that you're big into your health and fitness because you done a book on fitness, didn't you?
I worked in a book called The Complete Book of Abs. And it's been selling in Barnes & Noble. It's sold in Barnes & Noble and all these bookstores for over, I think, 30 years. And you can still see it now today. So yeah, fitness has been a big part of my life. It was something that, there's things outside of us that we have no control over. And kind of what you're saying, what would I tell for others? That there are things that we have control over.
Yeah.
And our fitness is we do. Yeah. All of us have control over that. So take control over your life. And instead of choosing being negative, choose being positive. Instead of choosing the wrong thing, choose the right thing. And we have a choice. And we can there's a divide. You can either do the right thing or the wrong thing.
I love the choice on either being positive or negative. I think there's a lot of attraction, which comes from someone that can create and that creates with positive intention. And these days, I think a lot of people are stuck on trying to look for the bad. They've been wounded. And the reason why that they have baggage is not because of their age. It's because they go into every situation with that wounding, and then they see the negative and they want to create somehow the negative. So your method of self-respect is cleaning yourself up energetically, looking after yourself, mind, body, and soul, and then creating with positive intention. It's like leading. It's like leading. It's like leading in your masculinity. That's leading. Standing in and going, I'm solid, I'm strong, this is what I'm creating. And knowing that you are that powerful.
All of us are.
Yeah.
There's a saying that if you if you show how powerful you are, you give other people permission to do the same. If you let other people see your light, you give other people permission to do the same. And so, but it's also accentuating the positive, finding the positive in anything. And there's a term that one of my good friends gave me, and he calls it decorating your prison. And what I mean by that is the prison word is harsh, but some people put themselves in a prison. But no matter where you are or what you're doing, make it beautiful, make it nice. No matter what you have, you can decorate it, make it so if all you have is a small room, make that small room nice, paint it, make it look pretty, have nice furniture, put nice carpet down. No matter what it is, be positive about it. No matter what, we all can have anything, and you should never look at somebody and say, look how lucky they are, look how lucky you are. Look at what you have. Mm-hmm. Never look at what you don't have. So that's what I try to tell my male friends, or even a female friend, anybody. Accentuate what you have. We all have a gift. Look at what you have. Because if we accentuate what I don't have, you're right. You're just going to get more of what you don't have. But if you focus on the good stuff that you do have and decorate what you have and make it the best, you can make the smallest place the most beautiful place you've ever seen in the world. That's all you have to do. And then how wonderful is that?
I mean, for me, 100% I've lived my life that way. And that's how I got through adversity, right?
And I as well. And I as well.
And I love that, because you can be in the smallest room and you can make it absolutely beautiful. And if you're with one other person that you love, why would you want to be anywhere else? Or you could be outside looking at the stars and you're with the right people, or even by yourself. There's so much beauty in that. And yet I think that's the thing. This is where people give their power away. It's like leaking your power.
So we were talking earlier, Einstein has this saying, and I don't want to crush, or I don't want to ruin his quote, but it's so powerful, and I've kind of applied it to me, and I like to give his quote away because he wasn't just a physicist. He was brilliant in so many ways, but he has this saying, and he says, don't base your happiness on people or things, base it on goals. And so that gives you that power back, because it brings it into you. You want to base your happiness on your goals, and you can't base your happiness on other people. So that's what I give my friends, is don't relinquish your power in someone else and saying, well, I'll be happy when my kids are doing good in school. I'll be happy when I have the perfect relationship. Well, it's unfair to that person. You're putting too much on them, and you're giving away all your essence to somebody else instead of saying, you know what? Yeah. I'm basing my happiness on what Einstein said. We need to believe this guy. This guy was a smart guy. This guy did way more for us than we know. And so let's apply that, and let's base our happiness on our goals and not base it on people or things, because unfortunately, our children are going through times. If we base our happiness, if our children are doing good, it's too much pressure on our children. We put too much on them. It's too much pressure on our spouse or our significant other if we base our happiness on them. And it's freeing when we base our happiness on the goals that we're trying to achieve. And then that way, we're the ones in a driver's seat. And then that's fair.
And even to go one step further than that.
Okay. You want to go one step further than Einstein? Okay.
On, 100% on now, on this present, like we were saying, the beauty. And like, it's here now. Like, it's all, my happiness is in the beauty of this exchange in this present moment now.
Right.
Now. Not in the future, not in my goals, because that's the future. Not in the past, because that's been. Mm-hmm. Not on what could be. Not on someone else. Not on another thing. Not on all this stuff. Right here, right now. It's beautiful because I'm creating beauty, and I have gratitude, and I have appreciation, and I have, the love for the moment.
That's true. And because I'm in that place now, I feel that I can help.
Yes.
And I feel it's almost my duty, because I'm thankful to be where I am. So I do want to help. That's just why I want to talk now.
I know. And it's so beautiful. And I'm so grateful for your beautiful, powerful energy, and that you share all this at a very heart-centered, resonant frequency, but from a very divine, masculine place. So
that sounds pretty good. That sounds good. I'll take that. I'll accept that.
But because that's integration, that's when you stay in your power, You know that you create it all. You take responsibility,
Yeah.
and you create and you give back to humanity.
I think all of us have to. I think it's our duty. And so the younger generation, they'll give back, and we should teach them to give back. And it's very important.
But that's the pure happiness, because it's in the giving, in the sharing, that happiness, the most happiness lies. We both know, we've both achieved goals, written books, we've both done these things. You write a book, then what?
Well, I didn't write the book, but I was in the book.
You was in the book, right. So the element of whatever you do, like a film, you do it, and then that's just a moment.
Oh, it is a moment, but it is nice. It is happiness when you get a call and they say, hey, we booked you in this film or that film or this TV show, or you're getting to work with someone you grew up watching. It's a great feeling.
Very beautiful.
And you want to share it with others, that you can take something that you visualize and make it come true.
And that's what you've done. You're a walking example of that, and that's what you're doing, that's what you're creating, and then you're giving back. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. Is there any lasting thing you want to leave people with?
Oh, Einstein's quote, just Einstein. Okay. Read up on Einstein more. That don't base your happiness on people or things, based on your goals, things that you want to do. And then add on is always give back and always try to help.
I love that.
And come from a place of love. Love. I think that's the biggest thing, because Jason Mraz has a great song about love. The Beatles have an amazing song about love. And so I would say, the biggest thing I think we all can have for each other, for another country, for another politician, is love. I think that's the ingredient that we're missing. So what I would like to end with is if we all come from a place of love, that is truly the answer.
Beautiful. I think that's the main theme, Joe, that I would say that throughout this podcast is understanding and love. And that's who you are. And when you're in that frequency, you can have it all. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.